Unity, Auntie Louise, Nikki. Hello, my name is Auntie Louise and I would like to welcome you to the land of my ancestors, the first custodians of this land, the Wiradjuri people. I would like to pay my respects to elders past and present and the future, for they hold the stories of our culture, of our dreaming. And I would like to pass that Injamara respect to all people here today. Thank you.
My name's Fay Clayton Mosley. Clayton is my maiden name. I was born in 1946. I was born at Leighton and I've got 2 birth dates. I don't know whether my birthday is on the 24th or the 25th. Sundays we spent a lot of time at the church at Sunday school or at church in the afternoon. We had a really good childhood down there. I was in 5A when we were all taken. I was a very good student. If we didn't feel like catching the bus to school, we'd swim to school because there was channels and canals. Yeah, we were down waiting to go to school and the police came and picked us up, took us to the station. My grandmother ran up to the factory and told my mum what had happened. And when we were put on the train, my mum came down and they wouldn't allow her near us. And that was the last time I seen my mother as a child. You know, I had no choice. The police were there and, you know, but I wondered why we were taken. We had a very good education at Leighton and that came through as adults, you know, when we were growing up, how we excelled in what we done. My father was 4 years in the army. He fought over the Middle East, he fought in different other areas of the Middle East, and he fought for this country, its people and their children, to protect their children. But they didn't give him that honour, you know, because they came in and took his children for no reason. It really played on Mum and Dad's mind for years, you know. My nan used to say that Mum would go down and sit on the riverbank and just cry. Because when they came up to the homes, they weren't allowed to come in through the gate. They told them to leave, so. And letters we wrote, they weren't sent, you know, and letters that we got, we didn't get them, you know, because they just destroyed them. They told us that our parents didn't want us, that we were just too hard to look after. You know, we were well behaved. Gosh, I still can't believe it, you know. In Cootamundra they had different wards and they put the little ones in the isolation. I was in the long room and my sister Iris, she was in the dormitory. We weren't allowed to play with each other. You know, I'd hear the 2 little ones crying and I'd take them over to the fence and say, you know, look in the clouds, Mum and Nan up there watching us, it's all right. And when any of the kids were punished, they'd lock them in the morgue. And children that had traditional beliefs, they believed in ghosts and spirits and that. You'd hear them screaming, you know, and I'd sneak out. And I'd bang on the door and I'd say, it's all right, you know, I'll sit here and talk to you. And I'd sit there and talk to them, you know, nearly all night to try and calm them down. Because can you imagine being locked in a morgue? And then when I turned 14 years and 9 months, they sent me out to the farms and different farms that I worked on. And I was supposed to be out there as a domestic, but I was more like a slave. I didn't get paid. The welfare got sick of me running away from the farms, so they sent me to Sydney. And they put me in the hospital there to train. My brother found out where I was, and he came down to the hospital and he said, Mum lives just down the road. And I said, no, I don't want to go and see her, because we were angry that they told us that our mother had put us into the homes. And then before I knew it, Buddy's friend, Owie, picked me up and carried me up the hill from Prince Alfred, kicking and screaming, all the way through the park, and plonked me at the door and opened it. He said, here's your daughter, Lil. And that's how I met Mum. It was crazy, It's like a dream, you know, when you go along and you don't really know where you are. You just float around wondering what's going to happen next. So we sat down and we talked about what had really happened, and you know, I was that angry, I was upset, and you know, couldn't believe that people would do this to a group of people for no reason other than that we're Aboriginal. I got to know Mum, and so I used to drive out there and see her, and I think about 3 years later, I got the phone call that Mum was very sick, but by the time I got out there, she'd died. And at Mum's funeral, this guy came up and he said, "Which one are you?" And I said, "I'm Fay." He said, "I'm your father." I didn't know him, but just that's what he said. He said, "I'm your father." And he died 12 months later. We all dabbled in art. You know, when someone tells a story, you just sit there and you lose it in how you would do it. How could you put it together? And that's what happened with these stories.
Aunty Fay, what can I say? She's such an inspirational woman, Aboriginal woman too. And the thing that gets me with Aunty Fay is that she's been through so much, but she's still so caring and loving towards people, and she's got so much to give. And this book that we've done, I think it just shows what she's been through and what she's accomplished, and she's still standing strong.
Be who you are, have some forward thinking and follow your educational footpath before you look at anything else. And I told them, you know, education is really important today. I'm very proud of those girls, absolutely proud. They've done beautiful work, and I can't get over how they've put it together. And they've got a future too. And I hope they follow that future, you know, in terms of their place in this world.
Because of her, we can.